What's up everybody, Maran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week. We got some pretty crazy news about the Camaro. Also we have the debut of the new MDX, the new Nissan Armada, and a bunch of other stuff. So stay tuned for all that. But the first headline story here this week is that yes, the 2021 Chevrolet Camaro SS and ZL1 are both banned for sales here in California and in Washington state. So the reason being, this is going to start in January, and so this is just because there's a new law that's coming into effect in January of 2021 that requires brake pads to have less than 5% copper in them. And so this isn't some new thing they're just dropping on people last minute, by the way. This has been known for several years now, and this is why Dodge, whenever I was reviewing the new Hellcats, I said they have new brakes that are copper-free, and this is something that Dodge already enacted so that they'd be ready to go here for 2021, have a smooth rollout, and that's it. So it's kind of weird that they didn't switch this over ahead of time. With the law, the way that they're structuring it, vehicles that are currently on the lot now and up until, I guess, December 31st can be sold, but the dealers in California and Washington aren't allowed to take orders for 2021s anymore or sell vehicles that arrive after December. And so with how slow Camaro's sales are, I'm guessing that maybe they did this because they figure, okay, we're selling X amount every month and the dealers have X amount of cars that will last them until, the following model year or something, because Chevy did tell GM Authority that they're going to be introducing a new brake system that's compliant for 2022 model year vehicles. But I mean, we're still only in the end of 2020 here. So I mean, that still is a bit of a ways off. I'm not sure when they're planning on introducing the 2022s, but I'm guessing it's at least going to be late summer. So you have a solid 6 to 9 months probably before you're going to have those 2022 models arriving. So maybe they just think they're going to have enough inventory, or maybe they just don't care about the Camaro that much. They're just like, well, we'll get to it eventually, and they just happen to miss 6 months, and they're like, oh well. But that's just only going to make the Camaro situation even worse. But I am glad they're bothering to redo the brakes in order to get the copper-free setup. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, some people are even suggesting why not just swap pads at the dealership, but I guess supposedly they have to come that way from the actual factory. And why Chevy can't just swap on new brake pads at the factory, I don't know. But seems like a weird oversight, kind of a weird situation. But of course, you can always go out of state, so that's what I would recommend. If you must buy a new Camaro SS or ZL1 in California or Washington and you can't find what you like in your state, just go out of state and make a little road trip out of it. That's what I did for the Bullet, and it was totally fine. But anyway, interesting to hear that. Now for some reveals this week, though. Acura has revealed the production version of the 2022 MDX. And aside from having slightly different side mirrors and wheels, it's essentially identical to the prototype, much like we expected. And so we do have lots more details now, though, and so that's what's worth going over here. So it's 2.2 inches longer on a 2.8 inch longer wheelbase. It's also on an all-new platform that's even different from the new TLX platform. So this is multiple new platforms here. But this MDX platform does use a double wishbone front suspension and multi-link rear, just like the TLX, but it's also much stiffer than the old MDX, they're saying. The steering and brakes have also been improved, and the brakes are actually larger. It's also 1.4 inches wider and roughly half an inch taller as well. Mechanically, the base engine is the same naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 as before, which some people were probably relieved to hear. And so that's doing the same 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque. And they say they stuck with this engine instead of the 2-liter Turbo 4 that does similar horsepower and actually a little bit more torque, because they said that the V6 got better real-world fuel economy and was more refined and more responsive for this application. And I actually have to applaud Acura for having the confidence to actually do this, because there's a lot of other companies that they're just trying to get the best EPA ratings possible, and in the real world you actually get worse fuel economy. And I've noticed this multiple and dozens of cars that I've reviewed. It's like the turbo version always gets worse fuel economy than a naturally aspirated competitor. just, you know, even with very similar power and stuff, just because those turbos, you start getting on them and they just kill your fuel economy. So I think that's a pretty intelligent thing that they did. It also does get a new 10-speed automatic though, so it used to use a 9-speed, so that is an upgrade there mechanically. And for those wanting more power, the Type S version is going to be coming, and that's going to run the same motor as the Type S TLX, meaning you get the 3-liter turbo V6 with 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Front-wheel drive is going to be standard on the regular MDXs, but then the super handling all-wheel drive system will be optional, but it will be standard on the Type S, that all-wheel drive system, which is good. And they said they made some improvements to that all-wheel drive system, so it now responds about 30% quicker with sending power to the rear. The interior is similar in style to the RDX and the TLX, and it's a huge improvement over the old MDX with its dual screen setup that it had, which looked pretty dated by the end of its life here. There's going to be 6 different leather colors available. They all come configured the same way though with the MDX, where they all have a 7-passenger setup, but the middle seat is actually able to be removed if you want to have captain's chairs, which I think is a really smart idea. Instead of having multiple configurations, there's so many people that are like, oh, I want a bench in the middle of the second row there, but I want all the luxury features. And in other companies, you can't get that combo, or they always force you to get captain's chairs and stuff, where with this, you have the option. You always have that middle seat. You can pull it out if you don't want it. You can also fold it down and have a little console there if you want. Or you can, you know, like I said, just get rid of it completely. It's totally up to the buyer. And if you don't want that middle seat, you just stow it in your garage and you're done. So, I mean, I think that's a brilliant solution. The bigger size also means that the third row now has 2.4 inches of legroom more than it did in the past. And they also improved cargo space at the same time as well. Other niceties are a 27-color ambient lighting system, a standard 12.3-inch displays for infotainment and for the digital gauges. There's also standard wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto too, standard wireless charging, panoramic roof, adaptive cruise with lane keep assist, all that stuff is standard. The Type S is even going to get a 9-mode massaging front seat that you can get, and there's also a 1,000-watt 25-speaker ELS Studio 3D stereo that those Type S models get. Unfortunately though, it sounds like those features are only on the Type S, which is kind of unfortunate. If you just want a fully loaded MDX, but you don't care about the performance, it'd be nice to be able to get those things on that as well. But unfortunately, the wait is also going to be longer for that Type S version, with that version not arriving until late summer 2021, they're saying. The regular MDX will be going on sale February 2nd, though, so that's coming a lot sooner. And those are going to be starting at prices of just under $48,000, including destination. And then a loaded advanced trim is going to be going for $61,675. And we don't have any pricing yet for the Type S. That'll come closer to its on-sale date. But anyway, really impressive, this new MDX. I mean, you get a big 3-row vehicle that's very luxurious, and you're still going to be paying, you know, 20 grand more for a comparably equipped, you know, Mercedes, Audi, BMW, something like that, you know, at least 20 grand more. So, I mean, this seems to be a really solid value and very luxurious as well. So I'm excited to try that out here, hopefully sometime this next year, but awesome to hear that. Nissan has also revealed a heavy refresh for the 2021 Armada. So it's still on the same old platform as before and still uses the same old 5.6-liter V8 engine and 7-speed auto. But the V8 now does 10 more horsepower if you put premium gas in it, for 400 horsepower total and 413 pound-feet of torque. The styling, though, is a huge change here in the front and in the back. Of course, since it's a refresh, the sides are the same. But it's also going to be the first Nissan to use the new Nissan logo, which is pretty cool. And I think the changes look really nice. It's, of course, completely different styling and stuff. I think it looks great. In the back, it's all new as well and looks really nice, too. And so I think it nicely modernized the Armada here. And if you don't like all the chrome, there will be a midnight package which also blacks out all the trim and all that kind of stuff. Inside though, it gets some even nicer improvements. There's a new 12.3-inch screen, but unfortunately it's not a touchscreen. I don't know why they didn't make it a touchscreen. It's like well within easy reach and everything, but instead they still force you to use the old little controller wheel, which is just crazy. The rest of the center stack is new too, including the climate controls and the hidden wireless charger. It'll also be quieter inside with new front windows and acoustic windshield. The shifter and mode selector are also new, and there's now a 7-inch screen in the gauges there, much like you get on any other Nissan. Nothing radical there. The back seat also gets new 8-inch screens on the headrest, the back of the headrest there with HDMI inputs. The rest of the interior is carryover though, so I think they have some new trim on the seats as far as the type of leather and stuff, but seat shape is the same, door panels the same, a lot of the dashboard's still the same. So all that's still clearly a refresh, but some nice changes there. The adaptive cruise is now standard, and so that's good too. They're going to be on sale in January, but there's no pricing for them yet, but that should come very soon if they're going to be on sale in just a few weeks. And I'll actually have one to review next weekend, so stay tuned if you're curious about the new Armada. I'll be able to review one very soon. I think this is a record for when a vehicle's debuted and when I'm actually getting it as a press car. So that'll be a very quick turnaround. So definitely stay tuned if you want to hear more info on the Armada and how it drives and how that interior is with the little controller and stuff. I wish I would have made a touchscreen though. That's crazy. And Nissan also introduced the refreshed 2021 Kicks this week, and so it's actually at the same exact time they revealed this, and so it's a much meaner look than the friendlier old look of the Kicks I reviewed earlier this year, and looks just like the international version that I showed you guys last week, so no real surprises here, but the changes do make it look nicer, and in the back it gets new LED taillights and hatch and bumper and all that. The interior also finally gets a center armrest, which is one thing I was annoyed with in the Kicks I reviewed, and the 7-inch touchscreen is now standard and includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which means now even base Kicks get all that smartphone integration. It also goes up to an 8-inch screen on the higher models, and it'll be easier to use than the Armada screen because it's actually a touchscreen, which is just crazy. Anyway, on the SV and SR models, the seat and door trim is nicer, they say as well. Mechanically, the only changes are an electronic e-brake is present now, and there's rear discs now on both the SV and SR trim. I think previously it was just on the SR that got the disc brakes. Now you get it on both, but still isn't standard. A base Kicks, you still get the drum brakes like I had on my press car, which was didn't give you the biggest braking confidence. But anyway, adaptive cruise now comes on SV and SR trims as well. And there's no pricing for these yet, but they're going to be going on sale in February as well. Mazda this week has revealed a couple changes to the Miata for 2021. So there's a new white Napa leather you can get on the Grand Touring trim, and so that actually replaces the old tan leather option you previously had there on the Grand Touring. There's also a new deep crystal blue color that replaces the old Eternal blue color. Doesn't seem quite as pretty as the Eternal blue, but we'll have to wait till we get more pictures because Mazda loves doing a press release then putting out like 1 or 2 pictures and then that's it, and the rest is left to our imagination. The other change though is that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are now standard on the base model. Previously it was standard on everything but the base model, so now even the base model has that as standard. And on the Grand Touring trim, CarPlay is wireless now, which is a nice change. Prices go up by $250 for the base model, but drop by $100 for the Grand Touring. And they're going to be arriving this month, just in time for all the snow. GMC this week has revealed that the 2022 Sierra 1500 Denali will be getting some pretty big changes. We only have the one picture though to tease it in the meantime, but mainly you can see it's going to get digital gauges and SuperCruise. And this is the first non-Cadillac to get SuperCruise. We already saw it on the new Hummer, but that isn't going into production for another year or so here. So this is going to get that first, and so that's cool, but it is going to be a bit of a wait, with GMC saying it's going to be late 2022 model year, so we're probably looking at over a year away even for it on the Sierra here. But should be worth the wait though, since SuperCruise is fantastic in general. I still think it's probably the best adaptive cruise system. And they're actually saying that it's going to be able to, you're going to be able to tow while using SuperCruise. So you'll actually have hands-free towing, which if you're someone who does a lot of long distance hauling and stuff, that could be like the most beautiful dream in your mind. So that's going to be a nice little addition there. And so you can also see in the picture here that the volume knob is in a new position, and it's much higher and seems to be a lot wider with the whole screen setup, which suggests that the rest of the dashboard is going to be getting a complete redo, and it's going to likely have a much bigger screen, which it desperately needs to compete with the Ram's 12-inch screen and the 10-inch screen in the Ford, the new F-150 and stuff. So it sounds like they're, going to hurry up and make this more competitive, which is good. And so I'm excited to see, all those changes, although we might be waiting a little bit longer for that. But cool to hear that. Toyota this week has also teased its new electric crossover that's going to first be debuting in Europe, actually, and they say it'll be debuting in the coming months and will be on the new eTNGA platform. So that obviously means electrified or electric TNGA. And so it's going to be one of about 6 vehicles that Toyota says are coming soon that are electric vehicles. And so They're seems like they're kind of catching up quick. They've kind of been a little bit slower with adopting the electric stuff than some of the other companies, but it sounds like they're going to be coming back with those quickly. So that's awesome. It's most likely going to be the same vehicle that was confirmed last year to be the partnership with Subaru, where it's going to be like the RAV4 and Forester size, and they're going to have one version for Toyota, one for Subaru, and be some type of compact sized SUV. So we'll have to wait to hear more on that. But interestingly, in a related story, this week, Lexus also both teased an electric concept vehicle that reveals their future styling direction and posted a video of a camoed electric SUV they're working on. And so they're probably the same vehicle, or at the very least, they're going to be the same platform and stuff that they're going to be getting in that Toyota and the Subaru most likely. Anyway, the video reveals that it's going to have an electric motor on the front and another one on the rear, and do a total of 402 horsepower and 442 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty strong, and also seems to be a little bit stronger than like the Volkswagen ID4 and stuff like that so far, and even a little bit more power, I think, than most versions of the Mach-E. But anyway, that sounds awesome, and Lexus also added, which is kind of a curveball, they say it could be added to a gas engine for a plug-in hybrid application as well, which sounds very promising. They said they can, of course, stretch out the platform, do more batteries, less batteries, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if you could have that much power just from the electric stuff alone, and then you add a gas engine on top of it, you could have something really wild. So I'm excited to, get more developments on that. And of course, the Lexus teaser image there, it's going to just kind of take their current styling and make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit, just even more sci-fi than it already is, which I think seems to be working for them. Lexus sales have been totally fine with that front end they've had for the past, 5 or 7 years now. So I think they're just going to continue on with that. Some other news here. Mitsubishi has teased the next generation Outlander that's going to be debuting in February. And earlier this week, though, the whole vehicle was spied thanks to an anonymous photographer that sent some pictures into Instagram page All Car News. So it looks great. I mean, since we can clearly see it now. And it's rumored to have the same mechanicals as the new Nissan Rogue underneath, which is interesting because this looks a little bit bigger, and the Outlander usually has a third row, which you can't get in the Rogue. So if it's doing the same engine as the Rogue, that could be pretty slow in a 3-row crossover. We'll have to wait and see. I actually am driving the current Rogue this week, the brand new Rogue as a press car, so I'll be posting that in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that too. But so we'll have to wait for all those mechanical details, but I think styling wise it looks pretty sharp, and we'll have to wait till February for more info, of course. And the reveal won't be happening at the Chicago Auto Show, by the way, because that happens every February usually, but the organizers officially postponed it this week. That's the next story here. They didn't confirm a new date, but they said it could be anywhere between like March and May, I think is what they told Automotive News. And then they also confirmed to Autoblog that we are looking forward to hosting a safe and socially responsible auto show in the spring of 2021. So sometime in the spring, but it's got to be tough as a product planner for a car company to try and figure out when you're going to actually debut stuff. It's like you just do online and skip the auto shows altogether, but then someone's got to show something at the auto shows, so it's kind of a cluster with all that. But anyway, no Chicago Auto Show, at least in February. Another thing that got delayed this week was the new Bronco. So due to COVID-related supplier issues, the Bronco won't be arriving now until the summer of 2021. It was originally supposed to start showing up early spring, I think was the word, but now it's going to be summer. And also the newly available manual transmission Sasquatch package combo, which they weren't going to offer and then decided to offer because everyone wanted it. That's not going to be available until the 2022 model year. So basically, it sounds like everything just got pushed back, maybe 3 to 6 months. And so that pushes back the regular Bronco. And since that Sasquatch package with the manual was already going to be late 2021 availability, now it's getting pushed to, sounds like 2022 model year. But if Broncos aren't showing up until, the summertime, I mean, you may be getting 3 months tops of an actual 2021 model year run before you're going to be getting into 2022s anyway. So I'm not sure exactly how delayed the Sasquatch package with the manual will be, considering, again, they're just saying 2022 model year right now. So it might not be that big of a delay for that, but anyway, interesting to hear that. It's unfortunate they have to delay it, but as you might have seen, Bronco Sports are showing up all over the place. There's been lots of reviews already. I'm hoping to get one to review here relatively soon. But the Bronco Sport, I think, was always going to be the better seller just because it's a little more affordable for people and stuff. And now, especially, that's going to have a 6 to 9 month lead on the regular Bronco as far as sales go. I think it's going to help the Bronco Sport to really get a good foothold as well. But interesting to hear that. And the last news story this week, Automotive News actually interviewed McLaren's CEO recently, and they revealed that McLaren will slow down its rollout of new limited edition models, which I'm relieved to hear. So he said in an interview, "We've come to the conclusion that actually we didn't need to launch another Ultimate Series car after Elva," and said that the market was getting a little bit overpopulated. Amen. I'm glad someone in this industry came to their senses and were like, you know what? We have way too many special editions. There's not that many rich people looking to buy, another version of a car that's basically the same as the one before it and stuff. So I think it just does dilute it. And Bugatti also talked about having this problem last year. They were saying, people were getting annoyed. Bugatti owners were like, man, every time you turn around, there's a new Bugatti Chiron variant. And they're like, all right, we're going to need to chill out with this stuff. And now McLaren has come to the same realization. Hopefully the other exotic car companies do as well. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, they did say, though, that around 2025, McLaren will launch their P1 successor. So that will be, I think, their next limited model. So, if, we got another 4 years before the next one comes, that's plenty of time. And I think everyone's excited for an actual P1 successor. But hacking the roof off of, 720S or whatever, that whole thing is just But they did say, by the way, that P1 successor would be hybridized but not fully electric, because there's still, I think, the whole fully electric thing just isn't up to their performance standards. And then they also say they're still going to be launching the regular production models that they have planned for the pipeline here in the next few years, including the Artura, which is coming in the first half of 2021, that they've been teasing, which I believe is the 570S replacement. And so anyway, that's very refreshing to hear, and I hope that the rest of the exotic car world kind of also slows it down a little bit and makes the special editions truly special and makes them a little bit more rare. I think that's what actually makes them special. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you continue to stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.